Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Zoob here. I haven't made a video for a while. Been out of town for about a week. Nice trip up to Seattle, Washington to visit my sister and a lot of cousins. And just a wonderful time. I just got back a couple days ago. I took the Amtrak train. Wonderful. Just a little catch up here. Just feel like making a video. I've been thinking about a lot of things. And this morning I started thinking about Romeo and Juliet and James Horner's rejected score. And it's one of my favorite. You know, I'll be honest and say it's one of my top. You can hear it playing in the background. Funeral scene at the end of the movie that was not used. The entire score was rejected. It's great music. I mean, I know there's criticism for Horner because he used a lot of music from other films in Romeo and Juliet score, or stuff that sounded so much like a lot of his other previous scores, which is true, and but his music was just always great, and he always talked about having a palette of sounds and themes and music that he would draw from for different emotions and different feelings that he got. And you know, that was his way of just conveying you know, his musical ideas and his musical emotions into films, and a lot of times it came off as stealing from himself and being uncreative and stuff like that. And you know, I can understand that element, but it was just always good and it always worked. I miss James Horner a lot. Movie music just isn't the same for me personally. It's been a long time. I mean, for me, Jerry Goldsmith, so many composers that have passed on over the years, that it was a lot different back in those days. Turn this off. I don't want to hear that, please. Background stuff doesn't need to be on. Anyway, but I was thinking a lot about a lot of things. Just had a great trip. I recently was able to meet a fellow board member, and it was fun. And I think this is a shout out to Sir Dave. Sir Dave, look what I'm wearing, Sir Dave. Sir Dave gave me this button. Beautiful button. I love it. That was fun meeting you a few weeks ago, Sir Dave, and spending some time having a little El Pollo Loco. Since then, I got a haircut. As you can see, when you met me, I was very shaggy. But, you know, we change. We adapt. We move on. But it was fun hanging out with you and talking, and cheers. We'll have to do it again in the future. Anyway, it's great meeting people eye to eye, face to face, that we, you know, interact with on the board. So I definitely recommend that. Zoob and Sir Dave have met in real life, and we had a nice visit. So I encourage that. Please meet your fellow FSM board members, and it's very rewarding, and it's a nice thing to do. Anyway, I've been thinking about James Horner a lot, and It got me thinking of this score from Romeo and Juliet, and I recently picked up this book on eBay called Torn Music, which is all about rejected film scores. And it's a fascinating, huge book. I mean, it talks about so many scores that were not used in the final cuts of the movies. Legend Jerry Goldsmith rejected. Tangerine Dream put in. Just so many. Robin and Marion had an original score by Michel Legrand. I never even knew this. But John Barry replaced Michel Legrand. Robin and Marion. Amazing. 2001, of course, A Space Odyssey had an original Alex North score, replaced by the stuff that Kubrick always wanted to use anyway, the classical, also Spock, Zarathustra. Just so many. It's a great book. Mission Impossible, 1996, original composer Alan Silvestri, replaced by Danny Elfman. Let me see just a few more that I can mention here. But this is a fascinating book. I got this for a few dollars on eBay. Probably with free shipping, under $10 with shipping and tax and everything. So there's a lot of great stuff you can get. Did you know that Rosewood, the 1997 movie that was ultimately scored by John Williams, Rosewood, had an original composer, Wynton Marsalis. I did not know that. My Dog Skip, original composer Van Dyke Parks, with a replacement score by William Ross, who's a great composer. The Kid, Disney's The Kid. Jerry Goldsmith scored it, but it was replaced by Mark Shaman. Two excellent composers. So, let's talk about rejected scores. And, was there any, down in the comments, you can list, any rejected scores that you were upset about or really meant a lot to you. What films had an original composer that it was not ultimately used. I think of Timeline with Jerry Goldsmith. That's a whole can of worms. Goldsmith scored Timeline for Richard Donner, who he had worked with on The Omen. He won an Oscar for the Omen score. They had a relationship. Richard Donner wanted Goldsmith for Superman, but scheduling dictated not, and John Williams did the Superman score, but his original choice was to have Jerry Goldsmith do it right after the Omen score. So Donner and Goldsmith had a relationship, but something just didn't work out with Timeline, which is a great Jerry Goldsmith score, but the editing and all that stuff and changing things, it could have worked. They could have used the music. Was it The Mutant or another Zero Comma that did that edit with all the replaced Goldsmith's original music back into scenes from Timeline? I saw it on YouTube. Worked wonderfully. There's things you can do. There's things filmmakers and companies can do to make a score work. I don't understand why they couldn't make Horner's score work for Romeo and Juliet. I've seen scenes where it's laid back in, and the funeral, the ending, the finale is just overwhelmingly beautiful with Horner's music. Powerful. So with a little work, they could have done it. I don't get it when they have to cut someone's music out that put their heart and soul into that score. James Horner always wanted to do Romeo and Juliet. That was one of his dreams. He did it on a ship with Titanic, he always said, but he wanted to do the original film the original story of Romeo and Juliet, and this is a brilliant score. I would love to see the cut of this movie with the entire James Horner score back in. So, it's amazing how what you can do with film and music. It shouldn't be that difficult not to make it work with the original composer. So hopefully that'll improve in the next years. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about today for this video. And it's good to be back. Shout out again to Sir Dave and everyone out there. Zoob just signing in and signing out. And happy listening. And let's talk about some rejected film scores that you would like to talk about. I remember, what was it? Michael Kamen score for What Dreams May Come, replacing the original Ennio Morricone score. I've listened to both, and they're both wonderful. They both can work in the movie. What happened? Let's talk about it. All right. Zuba saying cheers, and we'll talk next time. Thanks for stopping by.